They say, the death of one man is tragedy. The death of 1,000 is a mere static. History is filled with humans crossing all bounds of cruelty over a certain group of people once they dehumanize them collectively. We all know about the horror stories from the Western Holocaust. Let's dive into the Eastern Holocaust, the one that Japanese rampaged onto the Koreans, Chinese, and Philippines from the 1930s to 1945. But before we go ahead, we must warn you about the sensitive nature of the content. We will be discussing the graphic horros of all kinds by a special unit of Japanese Army called Unit 731. Let's begin. Unit 731 was a covert biological and chemical warfare research division of the Imperial Japanese Army, active from the 1930s until 1945. It was responsible for some of the most horrific war crimes in history, conducting inhumane experiments on thousands of prisoners in the name of scientific and military research. 1. Establishment of Unit 731, officially called Epidemic Prevention Unit, based in Pingfang, and it was founded in 1936 by General Shiro Ishii, a Japanese military doctor and scientist. Human experimentation and war crimes. Unit 731 carried out brutal experiments on prisoners, who were mostly Chinese, Koreans, Mongolians, Russians, and Allied POWs, Americans, British, etc. These experiments were done without anesthesia, often leading to excruciating pain and death. Types of experiments. Biological warfare testing prisoners were infected with deadly diseases such as bubonic plague, anthrax, cholera, typhus, and smallpox. Infected individuals were sometimes vivisected, dissected alive to study disease effects without anesthesia. Vivisections, live dissections. Prisoners were cut open alive, often with no painkillers, so scientists could observe internal organs in real time. Pregnant women were artificially impregnated and then cut open to study fetal development. Weapon and bomb testing grenades and flamethrowers were tested on live prisoners to study explosive impacts. Prisoners were tied to stakes in open fields and bombed to measure blast radius effects. Frostbite experiments. Prisoners were left outside in freezing temperatures until their limbs were completely frozen. Their frozen limbs were then beaten or amputated without anesthesia to study frostbite effects. Rape and forced pregnancies. Female prisoners, including pregnant women, were raped by Japanese soldiers to study transmission of STDs, syphilis, gonorrhea, etc. Some women were forcibly impregnated, only to be dissected later. Germ bombs and disease. Spread plague-infected fleas were released over Chinese villages, causing deadly outbreaks. Japanese soldiers dropped germ-filled bombs in enemy territories, leading to mass civilian deaths. Estimated death toll. At least 3,000 to 12,000 people were directly experimented on and killed at Unit 731's main facility. Tens of thousands more died from biological weapons and plague outbreaks caused by Japanese experiments. Fourth U.S. cover-up. After World War II. After Japan's defeat in 1945, the United States granted immunity to Unit 731 scientists, including Shiro Ishii, in exchange for their research data. Instead of being prosecuted for war crimes, many Unit 731 members went on to have successful careers in medicine, pharmaceuticals, and academia in Japan. The U.S. used Unit 731's research for its own biological warfare programs during the Cold War. Fifth, post-war recognition and controversy. Unlike Nazi war criminals, most Unit 731 personnel were never punished. Japan has never fully acknowledged or apologized for Unit 731's crimes. In 2002, China uncovered mass graves in Harbin containing remains of Unit 731 victims. Survivors and descendants of victims continue to demand justice and compensation. 6. Legacy and memorials. In China, the former Unit 731 headquarters in Harbin is now a museum and historical site. In Japan, discussion of Unit 731 remains a taboo subject, with some nationalist groups denying its existence. Korea, China, and other countries continue to press Japan for an official apology and recognition. Conclusion. Unit 731 represents one of the darkest chapters in human history, with atrocities comparable to Nazi Germany's experiments at Auschwitz. However, due to post-war political deals, many of its members escaped justice, making it one of the most controversial war crimes of the 20th century.